Welcome to a new episode of the Weekly Wowos. The conversation just before we got on air was a bit hectic. I think some of that needs to be captured before we get on the show. But welcome to a new episode of the Weekly Wowos. I'm your usual weekly host, Dennis Musali, and I'm here with the editor of Kawowo Sports, Franklin Kawowo, and our resident rugby connoisseur, Joseph Man Muhumuza. Gents, welcome. And quickly, this time, because the producer has given us a proper rundown, let me start with Franklin. What's your starter this week?
The starter is the rest that I saw at the Jaguars then in Chira, the game between JT Jaguars and KCC Leopards, KCC Panthers. That was as poor a basketball game as they come. I was very, very disappointed with what I saw from the teams.
For early days, so do not worry. Maybe things will get better.
Yeah, early days, but that was rough on the eye.
Joseph, your starter this week?
My starter of the week is that Desire Yera try. William Corey attempted to kick a penalty, then it went and hit the crossbar. But because that Desire is very resilient and, he put on a very good chase, it came off the crossbar and straight into Desire's hand, who was chasing down the kick, and he scored. We rarely see those ones.
Interesting. I hope Fred and his team got some of that content for us to be able to see it. But we'll be talking a lot of rugby a bit later. The rugby season kicking off this weekend. Some big games, but also some big results as well. We'll try and manage Joseph Man Muhumuza because his team had a big win. I think something that will carry them throughout the season. But also the basketball season kicking off on Friday evening. And the good news, I think that will be my starter this week, is that Kawowo Sports will be bringing you all the basketball action this week on our YouTube channel. Because I was thinking about, I wanted to watch the game in Mugogo, but there was a bit too many people. So in my head, I'm thinking chaos, and then the game will end a bit late. Yeah. So I decided to go home and catch the game from home, which I'm very happy Kawowo could be able to bring to me when I'm at home without the hassle of even getting my phone stolen around that lane.
The producer is happy money.
So I'm letting you know if you want to catch any of the basketball action in the National Basketball League this season, make sure you subscribe to the Kawowo Sports YouTube channel. And the commentator, the person I was watching, and said, commentator, who's that? He didn't give his names, but I'm sure the moment you mention your name, guys start going on social media, googling Franklin Kawera, and they enter your DM. But very well done to the Kawowo Sports team for bringing us all that basketball action this weekend from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All the basketball was live on Kawowo Sports. So that's my shout out to the team, Fred, and the rest of the guys for sacrificing your weekend to bring us the action in our living rooms. But I think let's start with the basketball as well. The season starting on Friday, and there was I hope Fred has it ready, but we could start with that. The video where from Edwin Kalkule was speaking about the game, especially that I think the important game that Friday night was the game between the record winners City Oilers and the defending champions Nam Blazers. Yeah. And Kyle had a conversation with someone just to break the game. Let me see if I don't know if it is ready, so we can just have that first, and then we continue with the conversation. Let's listen to Kyle.
We had a control, but then the second half was quite a bit messy. They were desperate, it's a team coming from down, the lower league, so they're here to prove a point. And as university, they're trying to compete with us also. So they came here with good energy, especially in the second half. But anyways, we tried to match up, and we had the W.
There have been many changes in your team, losing your center, Kaira, your captain, Evander is injured. How did you manage to go through with quite a short-handed team?
Losing Kaira was a tough loss. But anyways, I believe, as how I could say,
that was the action on Sunday, right? When UCU, the men's team. I think UCU also feeling there can be good value this year, especially now that, from what I saw, Nam Blazers were not as good as they were last year. So I'm not a rugby connoisseur, but I'm sure you will tell us. That is Kyle speaking to the UCU team. Of course, you see you losing one of their best players to City Oilers, something we discussed last week. They were not very happy about.
Yeah.
But as Fred is trying to find that video from the City Oilers game, what did you make of them, Nick Nateres and his boys?
Again, on Sunday, when you see you play their first game, one thing that you noticed is that they are going to be a guards team. I think they are going to play most of their basketball through the guards. Of course, after Kaira, who was their leading front court player, who left rather abruptly. Of course, usually Coach Nick Natreza prepares his team for departures that are forthcoming, but obviously he still had Joel Kaira in his plans, and he did not find an able replacement for him yet. So usually he's going to play a lot of small ball this season, and we saw it yesterday. Most of the game was playing with at least 3 guards every other game. I know he was playing against a small team in UMU Flames who were only playing their first game in the NBL as a promoted side. But
UMU is that representative of Mkozi?
Yes.
Do they come from Masakan to play, or
yeah,
they are guys from the Kampala?
There are some Kampala people, but most of them are from Mkozi.
I don't know, maybe just to diverge a bit, because there was a proposal to get rid of institutional teams in the other sport. And when you think about teams like UCU and how much they've contributed to Ugandan basketball, even rugby as well, then you have the Victoria Sharks in rugby, you have now UMU Flames. We see how big universities football is. I'm wondering how practical that is, or it won't be curtailing. Because some of these teams, when you're in university, and the Macquarie Sparks team has been around for ages and produced some of the best players, Impis Rugby. So some of these teams, they can be managed by institutions. If you hand it over to Joseph Mann, maybe play 2 games a season, and it's like, guys, it's a wrap.
I think one of the things that people need to, I think, come to terms with is that some sports are purely urban sports. And by urban, I mean school-based in urban centers. I know that when you say you want a community basketball club, you're not really going to pull it off, because basketball is an urban sport, and so is rugby. It is, and so is cricket. It is not played by everyone. It is not some sort of a mass sport like football, where you're going to go deep down the village and you're going to find somebody kicking the ball. So for sports that urban like that, I think they are more organized, institutionalized. Of course, people get to learn about basketball through school. People get to learn about rugby through school. Most of them, and so you cannot separate certain sports from school. So when you talk about institutionalizing basketball or rugby, that is the wrong path you're taking. Actually, world over, these sports come from school to get into clubs and all that. So you cannot take away the school out of it. I mean, the institutions. Maybe if you're talking about some sort of sponsor, like you are creating a basketball club and all that, of course that is not sustainable, but you're talking about education institutions. I think that is something that they can sustain over time, given if they set up their programs very, very well.
Just even speak for rugby, you have the Victoria Sharks, you have Impis and Rams, very, very friendly. Impis has contributed so many guys who've gone on to play for other teams. So you sort of have the guys who are coming out of high school, they still have an opportunity to continue the rugby in school, at university, and then they can always move on to the bigger teams. But they sort of have that landing at university that allows them to continue playing.
You see, these institutions, by their very nature, first of all, they have the infrastructure, the pitches, the courts. They are a collection point for not only the players themselves, but also the fans. If you've seen some of those Omo fans and Victoria Crocs fans, you'll definitely thank institutions for always, providing the funds and the players. But you can't untangle sports from institutions for the reasons that I've mentioned. The infrastructure, one, and then that human resource, the players themselves, and then the fans themselves, and that is obviously your number one sponsor, because these are institutions. Yes, they're learning centers, but they also earn money which they use to then invest in some of these sports.
All right, let me bring back the conversation back to the basketball, and let's listen to Kyle after that City Oilers and Nam Blazers game.
Evening of basketball, and after that long break, this is the game that has kept off the opening day. Namongo Blazers, after taking all the way the championship in the previous season, this time round they start on a very wrong note and City Oilers take the game. But I'm here with a colleague just to break down this game. Have you seen the game?
The game was, let me say, not quite what we expected, because obviously we expected the defending champions to come up like with, like let me say, high gear, to defend and show that they are really still capable. But that lacked, and of course they're missing key players, that being Tony Gileba. We all know what he does when he comes on court. That was a very big piece, and could be a loophole, you would say, if they continue playing like this when Tony is not around, because at a point they lack leadership. You get in the game, and then also Anthony, the Nigerian, yeah, he's also like a big piece as well. I think in the paint they were bullied a lot. The new addition, Nyembo Fataki, he was really good. He tried, but you can't do everything alone. At the end of the day, you need like a point guard to really service you very well.
Yeah, at some point I felt like they were targeting him, that is City Oilers, and they limited his time on the ball. But on the other side, we saw the new players on the side of City Oilers. We saw Lokoji, we saw Landry Ndikumana, and then the young boys. First of all, what are they for Joel Lokoji?
Lokoji, to me, is not a surprise. You get, because he has been in the league for quite some time. He has the experience. He knows what to do, when and how. You get, like, he has that thing. And then he has the help of Fayed, so he's not overworked. So he would get the substitutions in and out. So Lokoji, he's just good. And no wonder he was the season MVP last season. So whatever he does is really good.
When was the last time you saw Fayed Bale with such a brilliant day?
Honestly, I think 2024. I'll be honest with you, because they struggled as a team in 2025.
2024, I think I was
coming to playoffs as well.
I'll start my
you
conversation
found that
first of all,
it was
some
mainly
guerrilla marketing from the
Chad
guys in the background. I think I don't know what that mascot is going to have a very, very long season this year for the Nam Blazers. Last year he was always on fire because the team was winning, but this year he's going to have a very, very long season. But I think let's start from Fayed Bale, a hot hand on Friday night. He shot the lights out of Nam Blazers, landed a couple of threes. I lost count, but even me, I'd never seen him play that well. I mean, towards I think the back end of last year, he was spending more time on the bench than even on the court. But on Friday night, I think he played the entire 40 minutes for the team. I mean, the Blazers, for me, a statement win from them, just trying to make sure that they send a reminder to the rest of the teams that this season we made a lot of business, and I think they just ran over Namongo Blazers. 75-64 doesn't look so big, but in the context of the game, I think there was no point at any time in the game where they were under any threat from the Blazers.
Yeah. The thing with I think this game was that you needed to be at their training ground, the two teams' training grounds, to see the difference in terms of preparations. When you pass by the former games Cambridge in Utaika, where City Oilers train, you would see guys who badly wanted to win that game. One, because it is morale boosting for the team, but also after losing their championship last season, they wanted to start the season big. And just from the training ground, you would see how each and every player on the team is purely psyched for that game. You're talking Fayed himself, of course, Joel Koji, Titus Kaira. I had the chance to speak with some of the guys off camera in that training before the game. And for them, what was on their head is that they needed to win that game by all means, and they seemed extremely ready. And so did the coach. I think he was convinced but the preparation that he had, that is a game that they should win, and they are going to win. And so seeing how they approached it right from the start, for me, who had been at both training grounds, I wasn't really surprised. But again, you talk about Fire dominating, but I think the biggest part of that game was how the Oilers dominated the interior. Of course, Blackham Gisu there, who Edwin was interviewing, talked about how inside was quite open, and the Oilers dominated. So Landry Nkumana, of course, Titus Rual and Joel Kaida basically had the blast. They did not have any sort of match in the paint, of course, with only James Okero being the real guy inside. Atawanyoto, of course, was a tad off what he was during the finals. He talked about how non-Blazers were missing Anthony Chukura, who is yet to come into the country. But of course, they expect him to return by the end of this month, the non-Blazers, and be ready to play. Of course, Tony Grileva was on the bench, and you saw some lack of control in some of the possession that still Oilers had. They had to basically ask Jimmy to point the ball throughout the game. With no other reliable point guard that was going to kind of direct that traffic, and it in a way became a little bit easier for State Oilers to basically take away whatever non-Blazers was trying to do, especially in the paint.
Yeah, just in terms of the results, does this mean that City Oilers, City Oilers is back to where they belong? And people started already sharing the hashtag 11th title loading after beating non-Blazers. Is there so much read into the result, or it's just one of those games maybe non-Blazers just never showed up and they could get better with the season?
Yeah, of course, it's just the first game of the season. There's not a lot you can read out of it. I think this is just something, a game that puts your players on the right track. But also, if you want to look at it from the number one point of view, is that, okay, guys, they seem to have reorganized themselves, so we need to raise our game going forward. And depending on which side of the fence you're at, it may say something. But for me, as a neutral, it's just the first game of the season. You expect teams to change mid-season, whether it is to Oilers or non-Blazers. Of course, if say mid-season the Oilers management is not convinced with how they're playing and all that, they are going to make changes. Obviously, you expect Namwong Blazers to make some changes over mid-season, and so what we saw is just the first game of the season. And the interview that I had with coach of non-Blazers, Escodata, he said, somehow, for some reason, they are still enjoying themselves because of the win they registered. So I think for them, this was a wake-up call that, hey guys, that is behind you. Yeah. The season has now started. And I think that is a beating that they needed, or should I say deserved, to basically wake them up.
Yeah, for the two teams, the City Oilers have never been like strong starters in the season. Yeah. They will start slow, but then they pick up in the playoffs. And then for the Blazers... And
they used not clear about the opening game of the season until this season when they were beaten.
Yeah, sort of. And then the Blazers sort of made their name because they were the team that could beat City Oilers. Yep. And I don't know if this is sort of going to, take some shine away from them in terms of the brand that they were. Because if it is not Blazers beating City Oilers, then who will it be?
At this point, I think when you're looking at just the personnel, I mean the players on each of the 12 teams in the league, it is these two teams that have probably the best squads in the league. Of course, people will want to look at JT Jaguars. People will want to look at a little bit of maybe KCCA. People will want to look at Summit. They look okay, but in terms of what there is right now, I think these are the two teams with rosters that like top two. And of course, if you're looking outside of these two, then you're looking at JT Jaguars and Summit. So if there's any other team that should be able to beat Oilers, either JT Jaguars Summit. I mean, you really never know what comes out of UCU, but I don't think they are okay right now. I think they are really off for now. What you expect is that teams are going to change, squads are going to change mid-season, especially for these two.
Frank, is there a possibility of these two meeting not in the final? Say, for example, in the semi-final of the playoffs.
Yeah, you just Joseph, you just took the words out of my mouth, because I was thinking if the Blazers have sort of a not so good season and they end up not being among sort of the top two seeds, there could be a possibility that the both of them meet in a semi-final rather than in a final.
Exactly. Of course, the placing of course matters a lot. I don't know why you are assuming that because now Blazers lost the opening game of the season, somehow they are going to have a bad season.
No, because it only means that they're now playing for second.
Exactly.
No. There is a second leg.
Yes, there's a second leg.
They can win the second leg by 20. And so, anyway, there is a lot of basketball to be played. Of course, out of the 22 games, you played just one.
But that's on the assumption that they will beat up on everyone else.
And you're also assuming that Oilers are going to beat up on everyone else.
I mean, if you're beaten Blazers.
I think there's still a lot of basketball to play. A lot is going to change between now and, of course, mid-season.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The Blazers not too good on the day against the City Oilers, but a statement win there from the City Oilers. But the first game of the day was the JT Jaguars taking on the Pearl Queens. I read somewhere where someone said that the winners of the winners on Friday night were going to be the eventual winners of the season. So meaning that JT Jaguars will win the ladies championship, and then City Oilers will win the men's championship. But the Pearl Queens, they were never a match for JT Jaguars.
Yes. For people who follow, you always tell people to read Kawowo and follow Kawowo. For people who read Kawowo and follow Kawowo, obviously knew that that game was not going to be a match.
Yeah, last weekend, Kyle insinuated sort of that because the Pearl Queens are playing every Friday evening, there could be a reason why.
and I dismissed it almost right away. And so I think, again, after seeing what Pearl Queens had to offer in terms of players, especially, I knew for sure that there was not going to be any sort of a challenge in that game. And of course, we published an interview with the Pearl Queens coach, Anjana Mirimu, and she was talking about for them the first game is not really going to determine a lot. They are coming as underdogs. It's a game where they are just going to kind of look and see where they are at that point. And of course, when you have 3 players who are also your top players but have not played in Uganda before, and then they're getting the Ugandan experience for the first time, of course, there are always going to be those kind of nerves in the group, and they showed. Of course, JT Jaguars is too strong, and we knew that from the start that they are too strong compared to the Pearl Queens, because these are finalists from last season, and they maintained the same team and just added 2 players in Bridget Abba and Chan, who are front court players, and it means they made them even better in terms of rebounding, and so it was always going to be a challenge for Pearl Queens to put up any sort of challenge. And of course, the Pearl Queens, one of their players is an OG here. You know, Rose Musundi was here, I think, last season, and doing some sort of basketball work for us.
Yeah.
But the team generally is a little bit off. I think they will need a lot of time to kind of get their groove. I wouldn't be surprised if there were a few changes that are made within that fixture and taking out some Friday slots from them for sure. They didn't look like a team that is ready to play Friday games, at least not in the first round. They need some work to do. to become the competitive side that the proprietors of the team envision them to be. And so I want to believe that this whole first round is going to be some serious growing pains. They are going to be beaten. I mean, this Friday they are meant to play KCCA, Leopards, and for context, KCCA Leopards beat the defending champions JKL Dolphins on Saturday. I mean, if you're beating a team, if you're playing a team that beat the defending champions, you know you're in trouble as the second game of your season. You know, it is some rude welcome that they are going to receive.
Yeah, growing pains like you've mentioned. But quickly run us through the rest of the results on Saturday and Sunday. Any standout games?
Yeah, I think the standout game on that Saturday, I think, was between the JKL Dolphins and KCCA Leopards. A quite different JKL Dolphins, of course, playing for the first time without multiple-time MVP, Hope Akedo, Axie. And it has never been clear that a team misses a player so bad as they did in that game. They had all sorts of rebounding issues, all sorts of scoring in the half court, kind of running the usual pick and roll that they used to run between her and Evelyn Natching, the point guard. It was a game of running. That kind of basketball. So it wasn't particularly interesting, but one thing that stood out in that game is that I think KCCA and their new coaches, Tony Dweleb and Ben Komakech, are probably working on something that is between a little bit of transition basketball that of course they played most of the time last season, and a little bit of slowing it down, especially in the half court when they kind of take the ball away from Trace Namgosa, who runs their transition, and then kind of allow Sharwa Nachiria to kind of slow down. And obviously they did not have their key point guard in net Uwineza for that game. And so you think KC is going to play some good basketball, I think, this season. For sure, I think that is what stood out. But again, the last game, which many thought would be the game of the day between GT Jaguars and KCC, was a very poor game. None of the coaches was pleased with how his team played. Raymond Mahomes of KC's Panthers didn't like how his team played, especially that they gave away a game that they had in control in the final 2 minutes. And then, of course, Sudu Lang of the Jet Jaguars was not pleased with how his team played the offense. Very stagnant, couldn't move the ball, couldn't get a basket. So it was an ugly game.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Those are some of the results from the games that were on Saturday and Sunday. And if you want all the details from that action, make sure you read Kawowo Sports, and make sure you also subscribe to our YouTube channel for you to be able to get notified whenever we go live when the National Basketball League games are on. Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of basketball. But you'll be sure that the Kawowo Sports team will be able to bring it to you. And as we continue to preview the season, we'll tell you as we build up towards if we shall have a new champion this season. Clearly, all the defending champions in both sides have been shaken. Most likely may have a new champion at the end of this year, but at the end of the season. But we'll wait and see. I think importantly, teams are now, especially for the men, we saw all the fiasco that happened with who's going to present us at a ball or who's not going. Yeah. I hope that it won't happen this year, and then.
Yep. Yeah, this year is straight up. By the time the bulk qualifiers come around, our season will be done, and the champion will be the one that will represent the country. Okay. But there will be no more. For
as a lesson to other teams, you make sure you, even in the regular season, you take it as seriously as possible, because you just never know what could happen in between. And the regular season winner is the one who goes to represent the team, the country at BAL. So there's everything to play for all the teams in the National Basketball League. And that has been the basketball conversation from Franklin. But like I've mentioned, all the details on our website from Kyle and Franklin, who are our experts on rugby, on basketball. And if you want to catch the action as well, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for you to be able to get notified whenever we go live. We'll now switch up the conversations and bring in the rugby connoisseur. You'll have to be managed by Franklin because his team had a big win this weekend. 6-pointer for them. Other people are fighting for the championship, but on the other side of the log, at least things also very interesting. The Warriors and Impis matchup is always very important to both teams because whoever wins it has one leg into staying up.
If the league ended now, Impis would be champion.
Impis would be staying up at the top of the table because they had a big win over the weekend as well. But before we go to the graveyard, let's start at Kings Park, where the peak of the games for the weekend was the defending champions Pirates taking on Cobs. Before we got here, I was speaking to Joseph and I was telling him, okay, they looked like a close game, and told me the game was so boring. Joseph, for the benefit of those that love the weekly Wowos and were not at Kings Park, explain how 24 is a boring game.
First of all, we were all very excited for that game. I believe everyone in Ugandan rugby was, and most especially for the Cobs side, we were excited to see those new signings coming to the squad. And thankfully, Makuliam Lukwago and Brian Wandera played that game, and they sort of changed things when they came on in the second half. Yeah, but in the first half, you could have said that it was advantage Pirates because Pirates has had the same core for very long, and if you remember the players that won the league with Pirates in 2000, in that 2017-2018 season, are almost all the same players that are within that same Pirates team right now. The Encores, the Massas, the Who's, they are all in the same team right now. And when you look at the Cobs side, I believe that the rumor that was going around of Ivan Magom going to Pirates, which Cobs didn't happen. Magom going to Cobs, and that didn't happen. And I think yesterday we saw why he should have gone to Cobs, because they didn't have a fly half on the day. Calvin Gizamba came in, and he was mostly quiet. He was mostly quiet most of the game. As you can see, their exit strategy was basically Stuart Mwai box kicking, and then Karim was also trying to, get them out of those pressure areas. But then Pirates played very educated rugby, going from side to side, which they do so well. And Frank is the one who likes mentioning that Cobs likes playing that expansive rugby. But you can't play that expansive rugby if at all you don't have a proper fly half to distribute that ball up and down the pitch, and that is what William Corey was doing for the Pirates. And of course, the very good friend of Kawowo, Frank Chidega, scored that try, hammering it in for what seemed to have been a very slow start for both sides, because the first try came in at around the 8th minute, but he had already counted about 4 lineouts and 4 lineouts for the Cobs, for the Pirates, and they had won all of them. They had won 3 out of 4, and then the lineouts for the Cobs, Humphrey Tashobi was doing so well in disrupting those and even stealing the balls on some occasions. He made the veteran Edwin Sempewa look very poor. But then the Pirates score through Frank Chidega. It is converted. Then the Pirates go ahead again. And now it is 14 points to Cobs' 0. And we all still have some faith because we know Cobs is a very good second half team, and their bench also has some players. And then Cobs come back, they score a try. The try is converted very well by that young man, Rasul Abiriga. He was playing wing, but he was the one goal kicking for them on the day. And we all thought, okay, yeah, now the comeback is on. And then Pirates goes ahead and scores another converted try, so they go to the break 21-7. I think it was only logical at halftime for Gizamba to go and take a shower, which I believe he did, because he never came back in the second half. And then Joseph Aredo moved to fly half in the second half, and then Makuli Amrukwago went to 15 and Karim Marinaito went to center, and now the ball began moving, and Aredo was rolling back the years at that fly half position, and things started changing for the Cobs at that point when Aredo was playing in that number 10 shirt. However, when they are now starting to come back into the game, that's when my moment of the week happened. they had the penalty, and William Corey kicks the penalty. It goes and hits the crossbar, and then they catch the Cobs. The Cobs were totally sleeping in that in that phase. The Cobs were totally sleeping.
Is it
Corey
the
kicks
gas
the
that
ball.
you sort of run out of gas? You're like, man.
No, when they are taking the
you're
penalty,
supposed to
everyone is
chase
supposed
the
to
ball.
stand still. When they kick, then you react.
Yeah.
But the Cobs were very late to react, and that is how Desire got to them first. Remember, when you're kicking for a penalty, all your players are behind you.
Behind the kicker.
Now, people who are behind me getting there before the people who are
Who are on
in
the
front
goal
of,
line.
who are on the goal line defending, are waiting for that penalty to be taken. I feel like that was very disappointing. And kudos to Ayeda for being restless and putting in, getting that try. Unfortunately, it wasn't converted yet. It was right under the posts. Which I feel like it was a little bit of excitement that got to William Corey's head to miss that right under the poles. Instead of putting it over that bar. But yeah, and after that, I believe it was now the Cobs' time to show up to the party. The Cobs also had an advantage that their bench was, for the first time, a little bit stronger than that of the Pirates, because as you can see, Didi is just returning, very unfit, and see him with his special jersey. Him with his special jersey. He's just returning right pass. Now. Yeah, that is the try by Faraji Odugo. But I believe that the referee did very well on the day. That is Elijah Massa. I believe he did, and I don't say that because he's a former Impis player. Which, by the way, on the day we had Ruben J. Opesa, we had Timothy Tumwesije, we had Elijah Massa. Of the 6 games that were officiated on the day, 3 Impis OBs were in the center. So surely excellence isn't on just playing, but also being in charge of the affairs of the day.
Yeah, don't worry, we're coming to Impis, don't worry.
Yes, but then the other thing that I noticed, I was still talking about that bench. The Pirates began with Ariho Mumza Baker, another Impis OB, and Nathan Bwambale, and I'm forgetting the other prop that they started with, and Umar Duff. Now, when you look on the bench, they have a Didi, Darius Rohweza, who isn't very fit at the moment, and then they had
Jaguar, who is returning.
Yes, that Jaguar who is returning. Then they had an up and coming, also Impis OB, Pavin Mulengani, who is, to my understanding, not yet at championship level to play in such big games, but he came on and he was decent. Now, when you look at the Cobs bench, of course, they are starting front row of Chimbowa, Blair Bazibwe, and what's his name? But their replacement props, Michael Otto, those are all senior props that I believe also had an impact on that game when they came on in the second half. But the other point where I was sort of disgruntled with the Cobs and the way they played is that they defended very poorly, especially in that first half. They were always ball watching, where, for example, me and Dennis, we are Cobs, you're a Pirate, and we all just stand and look at him. You're like, yo man, yo man. And that happened a lot. They were just standing still and looking clueless in some of those moments. And I could count about 2 tries. Haruna's try that he scored, just strolling past Chimboa, who was still resting. Because they had the line out, then the Chimboas got to the line out to throw. And now, when they throw, the ball comes this side, and now the defense is supposed to reshape. Get your big boys in the central regions because they can't ideally chase. So Chimboa stays on the touchline, just resting, and then Pirates take the ball in the center and then take it back to the line-out area where it was, and they catch. And then there is a mismatch there. The faster back line of the Pirates finding a forwards pack of the Cobs who are just still chilling and resting there.
The thing with I think good backs in rugby is that they're always going to find where they get an advantage. Okay? And basic rugby dictates that you always want to take the ball where people have been working. And of course, there you're going to find a man who is not yet ready to take in that tackle. And again, for guys when they lose the ball from a line out like that, and guys have been doing phases in whatever, in the carrying and all that, you know those are tired guys. The chances of you going past them are very, very high. And you expect a smart guy like Haruna Muhammad to be knowing that that is where I'm going to pass. And every time, almost 90% of the time, guys always attack the guys who have been, if they say they have been a scrum on the side, if the ball comes back, they're always going to go, the guys who have been in the scrum have been pushing, and because they cannot put in the shoulder almost in that very second. And so you have to give credit to Plummer for identifying that Abakoye Baliwano, I'm going to use that very route. But also, of course, in terms of defensive coverage, Cobs bakongola baina bakongozi banji
they want to leave the ground when they are still smart.
Exactly. And you see the thing with when you're playing against a team that moves the ball, you have to be so good at tackling, because to again that's close to, like if you say you're carrying and then banging, but guys who are moving the ball, it means the defense has to work. And that is an approach that Marvin Odong is always deliberate on, that he wants the ball to be moving and he wants to work in the opponent's half. Where they are, you want the backs, if say you're kicking, you want to kick the ball as far as possible, so that by the time the back collects that ball, he has to run a long distance. And by the time he covers that ground, I think he'll be tired by the time he gets to the defense. And so for Marvin, that is something that he emphasizes with this group of attacking the tired zones, obviously.
Okay, Joseph, to speak about the context of the result, is it sort of shaking off the off-season, or should we read anything between the lines about the result in the context of both teams? Have Pirates showed that they are still good enough to defend their own title, and for Cobs, can they, despite the loss, can they still be able to mount a challenge? I'm thinking that for everyone, Heathens is going to be the team they are looking to beat. So what does, in the context of the result, what does it mean for both teams?
Okay, yeah, for both teams, first of all, Pirates got the points on the day. Those are 4 points. But when you look at the Cobs, they also got that bonus point, the losing bonus point for that margin, for being within the try margin, for the result on the day. What this means, especially for now in the regular season, is that every point is important, because where you end up on the table determines whom you're going to play in the playoffs. So every point, so every point is important for them. They have to make sure they finish as high up on the table as possible, and that's why that result is important for them. And then when you look on the other end, for example, the Heathens, Buffaloes, Impis, all big teams with big results on the weekend. I believe that all those teams will have a say on how the playoffs shape up.
Certainly Impis, certainly not Impis.
They're also relegation playoffs. We can finish 9th and beat Warriors again.
Before Joseph goes on, the thing is, for the top 4, okay, for the top 3 teams, you're certain Cobs, Pirates, Heathens. 2 of those 3 teams have to meet in the same finals. You almost certain that those are going to be in the same finals. That is based on the experience they have, the squad, and of course the coaches. Coach Makarama is going to get the best out of those Cobs guys. That is if he sticks around. Okay. And so those 3 are almost certain they are going to be in the same finals. Whichever way the season goes, unless something abnormal happens and one of them just goes into 5th place or 6th place, that they have to meet in the quarterfinals. But for Cobs, Pirates, and Heathens, they have to prepare knowing that 2 of them are going to face off. So the work is cut out.
Yeah, I think everyone will be aiming for 1st place, so that they are playing the guy who's 4th, not the guy who's
and
3rd
now,
or anything.
The other thing that is actually exciting is that when you get out of those top 3, and then you look, for example, to the next 3 that are in there. Obviously, the Buffaloes are in there, and I believe also the Victoria Sharks. But now that other team that is going to come in and sort of challenge, whether we have the Kakira Simbas, whether we have the new rejuvenated Mongas, and then, of course, Impis, realistically speaking, The target would ideally be to finish in the top 8 because safety first, and then from the top 8 you can sort of play your way throughout the playoffs and get a result here and there. But those mid-table sides, there is a lot of conversation that is going to happen there because you don't know what Walukuba is going to show up this season. We all know that the Hippos have been weakened, but we still have to give them a fair chance. Ideally, they are finalists, whatever shape they come in. They are still finalists from last season, and they will also have a lot to say in that mid-table area. But the top 3 is settled, and then when you look at the bottom, say for example the promoted Impis and Kakira, these are totally new and different outfits from the ones that we saw last season. Kakira has gone to the market. They did very good business in the market, by the way, showing their intentions that they are not just here to survive and play and see their way around. They're actually here to compete, and they have a coach who is also not only our good friend, but he's also a very good coach, Saidi Atibu. He's very good at building things. For example, I would credit him for getting Hippos to where they are. Although along the journey, Moses didn't reach the promised land, but along the journey he was sort of sidelined from the Hippos project. But yeah, and when you look at that table, I just want you to look at the top. Frank, what do you see?
I wanted Fred to actually put up the rest of the results.
Is it not upside down? So,
so Fred can put up the rest of the results, and Joseph just talks over them, so that he puts the Impis conversation in there. Big win for Impis. I saw the result from the Hippos games, and I'm already worried for them.
I think there's a team that needs to prayers is Rhinos. I think their best players were shocked, and it looks like a team that is going to have a tough season this year. The Rhinos are not going to are not going to compete as we know them to be.
Now you see that Rhinos side, for example.
Which team shocked from Rhinos? Rhinos plays their Legends best
champion. They are now at Chambogo. That's why they're going to be playing their games from.
But the cricket oval.
Yeah, that pitch in Chambogo.
It's the cricket oval.
That's why they're going to play their rugby games from.
That's why, yes. That's why they played.
That's why they played this weekend, and one of them was saying that's why they're going to be playing from all their game days. Of course, they are not.
What changed from them being a Legends best team?
It all comes down to the money. For example, when you talk to the people in Cobs, they will tell you that that pitch, they rent it for 3 million every game day.
Wow.
And when you see these people of schools, leagues and whatnot, they even pay even more to play there on Sundays and whatnot. And I believe Rhinos in their current shape, they are not the Rhinos that had Shell Rimla and about everything that could move around that 2016-17 season. They are not those ones. This is the Rhinos that should ideally go back to the rebuild, and had already started their rebuild last season. They had moved Jeremy Thembo away from the back line and back into the forwards where he began his career as an 8th man. He has a little bit of pace on him, and he's a brilliant player. And I think that is something that they had done with Shimwa in mind, that Davis Shimwa is still around to play in that center role, and will cover that area. But now when I saw the team that started, you would see a lot of gambling. For example, Paul Kalunji, a thing that I rate very highly, a scrum half that I rate very highly, because of resources, is now having to play 15. Previously, Arthur Opio was the one playing 15, but now Arthur has moved to Cobs. And his brother Ochen is still available, but he's more comfortable at center and wing. So Rhinos is going to suffer this season, most definitely. But we wait to see by how much they are going to suffer. Because losing, for example, losing to the Victoria Sharks, it shouldn't be so shocking because the Victoria Sharks have done their work. So that isn't a result that you would say would do what, would sort of shake them. But from the other results, the Hippos losing 40-17 to an equally strong Buffalo side. I also feel like that isn't an early determinant of how the season is going to go for the Hippos.
Expected result, right?
Yes, it was expected to lose. Maybe the margin was a little bit more. And of course, the Kakira Simbas losing to Heathens of course, that's another expected result of the day. There are not very many shockers, but we now wait for the next game weeks and we see whether the results that happened in the first game week set the pace for the rest of the season for most of these teams.
You think the bonus point win at the Graveyard was not a shocker?
No, that wasn't a shocker.
Okay.
First of all, if at all you are seeing on social media this week on X, Erasmus Aredo, I believe both of you should be around the same age and you're not very young. Erasmus Aredo announcing that he's coming back to play. He usually plays for them in the park. Erasmus Aredo are returning back to play. And there is Gabriel Aredo also on the wrong side of 30. And then you have Mosisi also also another person on the wrong side of 30, and then there is a young man called Ivan Longa, very good fullback, 15. That is the boy who beat Mongas last season. Yeah. And one of the things that I was happy for, first of all, as a fan, is that Impis played Warriors at a time when Warriors isn't desperate. If at all they had played, for example, in that 10th or 11th game of the season, where it would be determining who finishes, for example, 9th and 10th, so that you meet a week 12th. That would be a very different Warriors side. Yes, but the result is expected, and
Chairman Nyombi starting with victory.
Yes.
Yeah. The opening week of the rugby season not offering any shocks. Yeah. I think everything going according to script. But like Joseph mentions that game day number 2 will start to separate the men from the boys, and then we'll know who is actually going to be able to challenge Pirates this year in the National Rugby League. Make sure you read Kawowo Sports to make sure you get all those details, and that will be coming up this weekend in terms of action. Any big games this weekend we can look out for?
Yeah, we are going to look into them, but the big one that happened this week, the one that we had of what? Of
Cobs and Pirates?
Yes, Cobs and Pirates. That was a big one for this weekend, but the upcoming weekend, do we have the fixture? No, we don't.
No, even if we don't, we'll find out. Just make sure you read Kawowo Sports. You'll get to know which big games will be happening this weekend. But
also, just one more thing from that game that we played, but from that game that was played at the Kings Park Arena, we managed to catch up with some of the players. Humphrey Tashobi, I think, is one of the players that have been singing a lot about for his line-out prowess. He's always good, assured hands for his own balls, but he's also very good in disrupting the lineouts of the opponent's teams, something that he did on very many occasions. I think the last 2 lineouts before Adrian Sempe were being withdrawn were all comfortably stolen by Tash, and I think that sort of informed the coach's decision to make the change at hooker.
Right.
But if at all we could hear from Tash. I caught up with Tash, and then very interesting interview.
Right, this is Tash.
Hi Tash, how does it feel to win today?
It's good, it's strong, and good is good.
Of course, you are a line-out man as today as well, and you've greatly improved during open play. You defend very well, but what are some of those aspects of the game that you think you can do better?
I think personally I can do better in attack, and crack more goals, and also assist the team in other aspects. Support play, I think that's one I'm unable to do.
Yeah, as defending champions, you've started with a win. What is the plan for the rest of the season?
The plan is to defend the title. It hasn't changed, and our aim has always been to win. We have set up, we are all a target, and we are the target, and we know what's coming for us, and we'll be ready.
Of course, you have a very big squad at the... Isaac.
Chiristia, Sede, how is it?
It's okay.
How was the game?
It was good.
Tight.
It was okay.
Solid.
Yeah. We
Well done. How was the forward? How was the pack?
The pack was good. Just we lacked that second half, but we'll improve on that.
Do you miss your fly half?
Yeah, it's coming back. A few months. You guys were saying we had sold him. I'm a 12. William is there. The fly half is coming back. A few months.
You guys had the conversion at the corner, and I thought those are some of your favorite kicks. Would you have taken them?
I would have, but our kicker is on fire.
We have a kicker.
Our kicker is on fire. So when he calls me is when I go. But all day he's ready.
So title defense.
Hey, it's a goal. It's the process. We shall get there.
Game at the time.
And obviously your team is a bunch of winners, a bunch of champions right now, with only 4 additions. But what do those players bring to the team?
I mean, they can stand on the table.
As a center yourself, you've received another center partner.
Yeah. Fire.
We are.
No. You can never be. For such games, it's a long season. It will always not be easy. You'll have some players available, some not available. So you'll see even the people who have signed many players, they will not all play at the same time. Some will be in, some will be out. So for the backline, I know we are building for the next phase. So our guys will be ready.
Humphrey, how do you rate yourself if I told you how to play center?
He will jump over the guys.
But you have that pass.
The pass is there, but it is it's there.
Hey, we'll switch.
What if you're a center? Tell us.
When situation comes, why not? But
you'll also find me at flank. One day.
We'll jump.
One day. Jumping, I can jump.
You've been named as a forward in sevens. When it gets to 15.
Sevens, I can't play in the backline. But for now, sevens, never in my life. Never again.
Isaac Massa, I want you to confirm to the camera that sevens never again. Please look here.
Internationally, I retired. I cannot, my body may not manage.
But for
club, I'm a bit old for the players we have now. But when they give me the chance, you never know. But for now, 15s.
All right. Thank you very much, boys, and good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kali, man. Thank you very much. Isaac, thank you. Yes, so those are the Pirates boys, Humphrey Tashobia and Isaac Masangazida. They were, of course, very happy for the win on the day.
The man was just having fun in the interviews.
But of course, that game finished off on the Navi moment. Faraj Odugo had just scored that try, and then Makumbi went to the referee and asked him, how much time do we have? And then the referee signaled to him that it is time. After your kick, it is going to be over. And some people were asking, so why didn't they just go for a restart instead of, kicking?
To convert.
To convert. Why didn't they just go for a restart? In a 15th game, very many things can happen. You can kick to us and then we knock on and kill the ball. That's it. It's all. So very many moving pieces.
When we score the try, we're the ones who kick to the other guys, not so?
Yes, when you score, you kick.
Yes. So Cobs will be kicking to Pirates.
Yes.
And then Pirates, if they get the ball, they just
kick out.
But of course, there is kicking with a plan. You kick to go and contest. Because you kind of try to put it as high as possible and doesn't just land very far. It lands in a zone where you're going to contest. And Otekewe Mbera, who knows? You may force a turnover and then you have an opportunity to kind of get something out of nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can all understand why the boys were that excited, having finished off the game on such a nervy note. Needless to say, the Cobs weren't so impressed. And there is something that we usually do as teams. When a team loses, you can tell, if at all frank, you arrive at 6 p.m. at the pitch and see the two team huddles, you can tell which team has lost and which one has won by the way they are doing there after the game team talk. You can tell which one has won and which one has lost. But another thing to note is you could feel the impact of Coach Makalama's return on that team. However, I feel like it is sort of a regression because Coach Mudola had sort of figured out the backlines and their play, but now you'd see that the Cobs were carrying the ball a lot. It was forwards forward centric, if that's the word. If the game was too focused on the forwards and are doing that heavy hitting, which I feel like it is confusing. And someone noted that in the last 5 years, in the last 5 or 6 years, Cobs has started the season with a new coach every time, and ever since winning that 2021 short format league that was played, I think it was under coach Fred Mudola, that 2021 season, and then Mudola goes out, Makalama comes in, Makalama goes out, Timothy comes in. I think even Makmut was in there for a while. Makmut was working under Chewalabi, who is now back to full-time playing with the Victoria Sharks. So yeah, it's quite confusing.
Yeah, but I want to pick up before we finish the rugby conversation. You said when Pirates wins, there's always a good time.
Yeah.
Party like a pirate.
Yes, when Pirates wins, it's always a good time, but I believe my boss isn't very impressed. my boss isn't very impressed.
Our rugby comments, I will not divulge details of those enjoyments at Kings Park Arena, but a big win there for the Pirates, a defending champion, starting off on a good note. And like I promised, make sure you read Kawowo Sports to find out where the big games will be this weekend as match day number 2 continues for the Rugby League. And to finish off our conversation today, we'll just highlight from the Men's Elite League that also concluded on Saturday. Very, very, very impressive for me in terms of the number of runs that the men scored. Take nothing away from the women, but the women's competition hardly reached 150 runs, but the men easily found 170 runs plus, and in that final the Itana Kayakers chasing down 175 very, very easily again, leaving as many as I think 12 balls in that game. So I don't know whether it is things to come or the guys are now have shown a lot more hunger. I know there is no coach for the head for the cricket cranes, but maybe people are lining themselves up that when the man comes, I should be one of the guys they are talking about. But very, very impressive. The Men's Elite League with so many runs. One of the things, because of the other office that I hold, people complain to me, they say, but boss, we have lost so many balls because the boys are hitting them in the road. So when you see an invoice, please do not
say where is it coming.
Exactly. But impressive there, the Men's Elite League competition.
One of the things, of course, as a fan of the short format of the game, when players approach a T20 game the T20 way, you're always going to serve the fans. And I think one of the things over the past couple of years, I think since we qualified for the World Cup, I think players have taken T20 game seriously. They have, especially the men, they now start approaching the T20 game with that explosion right from the start. See ball, hit ball. There's not a lot of caution, and I think what that does is that it gives players some sort of confidence that when he hits one maximum, obviously he's going to be wanting to hit the next one, and that kind of approach for a T20 game always brings those high numbers. And for me, all the players, the batters that we have in Uganda really are built for the T20 game. The top batters are built for the T20 game. You're looking at the Obias, you're looking at the Sesazi. Of course, the young guys, Gerard Dolipa, they're all guys who are looking to score very many runs. And for me, the batting approach that they have is for T20 game. And when you see scores like this, it doesn't just reflect on the players, but it also shows that the guys are willing to go out and express themselves with the bat.
So Frank, the series concluded on Saturday.
Yes, on Saturday, yes.
Interesting.
And when you look at how, for me, this kind of batting, I don't know whether it says a lot about how the guys are bowling as well, but for me, I want to be more impressed with how the guys approach the game with the bat.
Yeah, the attitude.
And I mean, when you missed out a World Cup slot, and of course you're looking at kind of going back into that cycle.
In the qualifiers, we're dropping back down in the divisions. I think for me, one of the things that I also liked is that there are players who have started creating a conversation for themselves, not your household names. Fahad Mutagana for the Bujagai Rafters was very good opening the batting. So people have started speaking about him like he may be a contender. Mumwe Muchasi, Fahad Mutagana, Perry Wazombe also played very well. Some young boys like Brazali who were under 19, but you could see that they had a lot of ability. Devansh Patel, there was Ongoroken Kenneth is from Guru, I think, also did very well. Or Chan Felix from Guru again, who was named one of the most upcoming young players. So you could see there were players, not your usual characters, but some new names there getting in the conversation. Robert Ajuna did very well as well. So I've really liked that element of like, shall we be able to see some new names getting onto the Cricket Cranes team when the new head coach comes around?
To challenge, I mean, especially, I mean, one of the things that you guys at Cricket Uganda did is having a little bit of a split over the Cricket Cranes with creating the Uganda A. I think if most of these guys are given an opportunity trying out with Uganda, which I believe is going to be doing most of the regional tours for, I mean, the tours that they go to Rwanda and all that, I think if they are given a little bit of international exposure in that form, and they kind of carry on with how they are batting and operating, and you want to have as big a pool as possible for Ugandan batters.
Why are you saying Ugandan batters?
How much they get there?
I think I've also haven't mentioned Gerard Olipa, the young man who's now in his senior six vacation, and you feel that now maybe this is an opportunity for him to play a lot more cricket and then be around the coaching setup and things like that. Paul Molongo, who is in action there, also did very well. So there are some of those names you've mentioned who are out of the Uganda emerging team and the Uganda A side that people don't usually know so much about, but they had such a very, very good tournament, and they could put themselves in difficult conversations. So I think for me that was really very, very good to see. Pasoloka did well as well. So there's some those younger boys. Matthew Musinguzi has also been on a roll, and I think people are going to start speaking about him in terms of Simon Cesars. I mean Henry Senyo. Can he be a replacement for him in future?
Yeah, I mean with that chance he got with the senior team, I think he put his hand up and he's kept on improving. I mean at this point you'd say, for example, Joseph Aguma has kind of sealed that spot that he belongs. I see Matthew Things as a spinner that is on the same path. They are getting there.
Yeah. So that was the men's elite league that concluded this weekend, and sort of the tournament that kickstarts the season for cricket. The national has decided to do. Short delivery sits right into the wicket, and Kenneth Waiswa takes a liking to that one, to his opposite number. Themselves, because that cannot be achieved when you play the sort of national league format that we play. So do not be surprised when you see a lot of these tournaments happening this year, just to make sure that they keep the boys in that shape where they can play amongst themselves at a very good level.
Mani has a very weird question. Where are these changes? Apparently.
This season, I want to watch the Wanderers. Where do I find them? In which division?
Are these changes intended to keep Wanderers afloat?
I'll tell Joseph Manmumza one thing. So Kawowo, you'll know where Wanderers play. And on that note, we'd like to end this conversation this week on the Weekly Wowos. I've had the pleasure of hosting our rugby connoisseur, Joseph Man Muhomza. Make sure you read Kawowo Sports this week to find out which is going to be the heavyweight game this weekend in the rugby season. And I've had the edit of Kawowo Sports, Franklin Kawero, breaking down all the basketball action. And make sure you don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the basketball action on Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I've been your weekly host, Dennis Musali. And until next time, please keep reading Kawowo Sports.